What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the OCVarsity basketball show. Dan Albano joined once again by the Hall of Famer Steve Fryer as we're talking hoops, and it's another big week. Mr. Fryer, there's a new number one team in boys basketball in the county, the third number one in as many weeks, and perhaps I think if math is right, it's the fourth team to be ranked number one so far if you count the preseason poll. What do you got for us on this new number one?
Yeah, exactly. Canyon, that was our preseason number one and carried it on until injuries hit them. Some key guys, the Goodall brothers, the twins, both went down with tough situations. And then Mater Dei, the traditional number one since 1989, they rise up there and did pretty well. And then lost a couple of big games. They lost to Santa Margarita, so Margarita goes number one. They also lost to Orange Lutheran. And then Orange Lutheran last week beat Santa Margarita. So now Orange Lutheran is this week's number one. Now, Orange Lutheran has defeated Santa Margarita and Mater Dei in boys basketball for the first time since the 2010-2011 season.
Wow.
That was a really good Orange Lutheran team. They had a big forward named Peyton Banks on that team. They had a nice point guard, left-handed guy, could do a lot of stuff, James Douglas. But the best guy on that team, and it had a really good run over at Arizona, was Gabe York. Great shooter. That guy, I think, as far as like shooting a three, a jump shot shoot, a lot of guys shoot the set. This guy shot its three-point jump shot. He got as high off the ground as any three-point shooter I've seen in Orange County basketball. He was fun to watch. So we got Orange Lutheran at number one. And so that's the way it is right now. We got Marguerite at 2, Fairmont Prep 3, Pacifica Christian 4, and Fairmont Prep plays at Pacifica Christian in the San Joaquin League game on Friday. I'll be there and looking forward to that one, Dan.
All right. Well, a couple things. So what's going on with Lutheran? Because the Lancers were not in the preseason top 10 in Orange County. So what's going on? I know they had some big energy early on to beat Mater Dei in the home game in the first round of the Trinity League. Now they're going to face them at the Nike Extravaganza at 9 o'clock, I believe, on Friday night. So what's going on with the Lancers?
Good guard play, especially Zion Paleo, whose cousin Travis is a very good player at Foothill. He's a dynamite guard. He scored like 11 points in the fourth quarter in the win over Margarita last week. So it's good guard play. Daniel Dunbar is a good coach, good young coach, and they play a really ferocious defense. They really get after you. You know, they can press you, run a 2-2-1 on you. And they're just a solid all-around basketball team. They don't have like that one star like, Gabe York was some time ago. But just a well-rounded, good basketball team with good depth.
All right. Now you mentioned Fairmont Prep, Pacifica Christian. Fairmont Prep won the first round in the San Joaquin League. Yeah. That was at home, I believe, 59-55 for Fairmont Prep. Now they're going to take on Pacifica Christian again in the second round. Interesting thing. What do you think about Fairmont Prep? They're Division I, maybe flying under the radar. They're not ranked, at least as of last week in CIF. And then you got 2AA, or it's a 2A, excuse me, for Pacifica Christian. They're pretty highly ranked in their division. But what do you think about, is Fairmont Prep a little bit under the radar? We're going to hear more about them, and Pacifica Christian could be making a run, I guess, at CIF.
I think they're both pretty evenly matched teams. A lot of good scorers with both groups, maker, et cetera. So I don't know how this is going to play out. Really good guard at Pacifica Christian, Parker Strauss, all CIF guy last year. So it's going to be a very interesting game. I think it may be one of those last possession games, which is going to be a lot of fun. Pacifica Christian's a small gym. If you're going to go, get there early.
Yeah. Sometimes they even move do they still move the site? Sometimes do they play off campus, or are they still pretty much at their place?
If I'm Jeff Barakoff, the coach of Pacifica Christian, I'm not moving that game. I'm keeping it in my friendly confines.
All right. Hey, and then one other game, I think on Friday, I wanted to ask you about. We've talked a little bit about Canyon, but they got a big date at Foothill in the on Friday in the Crestview League. Foothill won the first round, pretty close game. What do you think about? Is that a pretty big game? You think in the Friday in the Crestview League, a couple of good public school teams, and Foothill is playing really well. 20. I think they're 22-2. Of course, they
Yes.
were in the state finals runner-up last year.
Mhm.
What do you think? It looks like the Knights got it going again.
Yeah, Foothill's going to be favored in this game, but Canyon, they figured out other guys you can score from, including Johnny Carey, pretty good, very good outside shooter. So, and they still have Brandon Benjamin, who's all county first team forward, very clever guy. He's like 6'4", but plays like he's 6'9". He uses the backboard and the rim as like a third arm to move guy to get shots off, to screen off guys. Really, really a clever thing to see a young person, a sophomore, do that sort of thing. But Foothills, we mentioned Travis Palaio a while ago. Such a well-rounded group. I look. Foothills should win that game. Nate Harrison, the coach at Canyon, sometimes gets surprisingly good results out of average looking dudes. So, but Foothill should be favored, but Canyon's going to give them just a war. It's going to be a very highly contested, emotional game. It's going to be crazy. Good student sections too out that way.
Yeah, I think Coach Harrison's system, if he's still doing that, where the trapping and the focus on the half court trap, the defense, I think that's maybe leads a lot to that consistency. Like you said, they can pull out some wins if Foothill doesn't take care of the ball. And handle that half court press. So you got some parity going on the boys' side, Mr. Fryer.
Yeah, we do.
At the top.
Yeah, to finish up talking about boys hoops, we got the Nike Extravaganza coming up on Mater Dei on Friday and Saturday. Boy, there's some really good looking games in this thing. Mater Dei Orange Lutheran, the rematch at 9 o'clock. If it starts at 9, it'll be amazing. These things sometimes back up. So Saturday's schedule starts with Servite versus Los Al at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And then Capital Valley plays Oak Hills. A couple other good games. Aliso Niguel got a good win last week against Mission Viejo. I was there. Good team against Calvary Chapel. J. Sarah against Crean Lutheran. Crean Lutheran's got a really good freshman named Caden Bailey. Really, really worth watching. Best freshman in the county, maybe the Martinson kid at Mater Dei is. I don't know. And then Foothill plays Coronado out in Nevada, which I think is the number 2 team in Nevada. Also, the previous night, you got Bishop Gorman at Heritage Christian on the Friday game. But going back to Saturday, West Ranch is playing Bishop O'Connell out of Virginia. And then Notre Dame and Sherman Oaks. Both of them, West Ranch and Notre Dame Sherman Oaks, are on the watch list for the Open Division. Harvard Westlake, number 1 in the state, right? Against De La Salle. Really good team, of course, up in Concord. Mater Dei plays St. Mary's, Arizona. And then Centennial of Corona, number 1 or 2 in the state, depends who you look at. They're in the nightcap, scheduled for 9 o'clock against Liberty of Nevada, which is a top 5 team out of Nevada. So that's what's going to be going on over there. Dan, girls basketball is going wild right now. Mater Dei's got a great team. What do you see coming up this week on your schedule?
Well, speaking of those Monarchs and the Extravaganza, which is one heck of an event, like you said, starting at 8 o'clock. But it actually does start on Friday, and Mater Dei is going to be playing Esperanza at 7:30. So they'll be the game before Mater Dei Orange Lutheran boys. So yeah, if you want to see the number 1 team in the county on girls' side, the Monarchs, they enter the week riding a 14-game winning streak. So if you check out that game, you'll see how the Lady Monarchs are really deep. Janessa Cotton, a junior post, is playing really well. She had a really good game over the weekend at a showcase up in Northern California, about 23 points, 18 rebounds in a victory against state-ranked St. Mary. So Janessa's playing well. She's a junior. You can see Addison Deal, sophomore point guard, and you'll see the Monarchs playing a lot of up-tempo, which is like what Esperanza likes to do. But I don't know how Esperanza is going to do, because they play on Thursday night. The night before, they play against El Dorado, which is going to be a pretty tough Crestview League game. Just judging by what happened last week, I don't know if you caught that, Fryer. So Esperanza, firmly in the top 10 on the girls' side. They were down by 16 points on the road early in the second half at El Dorado, and they did rally. They put on the press full court, and Kaya Mack scored 28 second half points. Uncommitted senior guard for Esperanza. She was a one woman gang, all over the place, 3-pointers and fast break points, and she even had a block and steal. So she did really well. So that's one thing that's highlighting. But we got, as much as Mater Dei is really a juggernaut right now, and they're starting to maybe, emerge as maybe a contender, a worthy challenger for like Sierra Canyon, Etowanda, even Bishop or La Jolla Country Day. Thinking regional wise, they're young, they're work in progress, making progress, but there's some interesting things going on in the top 10 where you have Sonora, Esperanza, San Clemente, all moved up spots this week in the top 10. So I mentioned Esperanza, but San Clemente girls had a big victory on Saturday against San Juan Hills. So that South Coast League is looking pretty good. Interesting there.
Yeah, San Juan Hills went number 5 going into that game, and with San Clemente outscoring by like 12 points in that fourth quarter, made a nice little kick at the end there.
Yeah, at home. And they scored 27 points in the fourth quarter. That's a lot of points any quarter, but you get that in the fourth quarter. That's quite a finishing kick. These teams are going to play each other again. So we'll see how that second round of the South Coast League. And interesting enough, Fryer, San Juan Hills, San Clemente, both in Division II AA, and ranked very highly in that division. So we might see these guys in the playoffs as well. Two good teams, well-coached teams to watch out. And they're rolling in the Freeway League. I got them up to, I think Sonora's up to 5 in the county. They've won 20 consecutive league games in the Freeway League, which is, they got to win some tough games. There's not a lot of easy games in the Freeway League for Sonora. They're winning the close games, and and they of course inspired my backdrop that I'm coming to you from right now.
Dan, is the Freeway League the most balanced league in girls basketball?
It could be.
Sunny Hills, Troy.
Yeah. I mean, you look at it. Like I said, we're talking about Sonora. They're 6-0. They've won 20 consecutive league games, but they beat Sunny Hills last week by 4 points. And Sunny Hills is looking like maybe they're in 4th place right now, and they beat Buena Park by 8 points. So that gives you an idea about how close that league is. And I've talked a little bit about how La Habra's pretty good, and Troy is, still tough in that league. So there's a lot of competition in the Freeway League, and I've that's one of my favorite leagues to watch this year for sure.
Same thing in boys. Freeway League's like loaded up with tight teams. And that's what's going on in basketball this week. Dan and I have a lot of good games to cover. I'm looking forward to being at the Nike Extravaganza all day long, for the coffee and donut show even though I don't drink coffee, but for the early show, the 8 o'clock Servite Low Sal. A lot of good stuff going on in basketball. Gosh, Dan, we're almost just a couple of 3 weeks away from the playoffs starting. So we're looking forward to covering all these things for you folks. And thanks for checking us out and reading all the stuff that we do. And basketball keeps rolling on, and Dan and I are having a great time with it. Thanks for being with us, everybody.